YouTube. Welcome to my new channel. This is going to be dedicated to video games. It's been one of my passions since I was a kid. I've been playing games for a long time now, and I like discussing them and just, going over how I felt about the game and things like that. And I like watching those videos as well, so I figured why not make my own. So yeah, you're mostly gonna see video game reviews, walkthroughs, and let's say I do some badass shit in a game, I'll clip it and I'll throw it on the page too. And so you guys can enjoy that. When I review the games, I'll touch on pretty much the core elements of what we think, or what I think we should expect from a game, or that a game should deliver, right? So I'm gonna touch on visuals, gameplay, story, and replayability, and music and sounds too, but I'll put that under the visuals umbrella. So for my first game review, we're going to be doing probably the most controversial, most polarizing game of the year, The Last of Us 2. Yeah, that game was nuts. I personally liked it. I know a lot of people hated it, and there was a few who liked it as well. I'm gonna go into why I liked it and why it made sense for me. Although there were parts that could have been done better for sure, but I'll definitely go into that. And yeah, subscribe, like, share, do all that, whatever the YouTubers be saying. And let's get it. All right, so let's get right into the first topic. Visuals, the graphics, right? So I'll just go ahead and say this. I have a standard PS4, I have a regular ass TV, and the game still looks really good, right? So the environment, beautiful. I mean, right here in the opening scene, you see Joel on horseback, and in the distance there's a snow-capped mountain with the sun right behind it, hitting the trees and the foliage. Yes, I said foliage, Google that. No, but more on the grass. I know it's random, but the grass is really good. There's this other review I had seen that said that the grass in this game makes the grass in other games look like grass in a game. It's a lot to digest, but think about that. I mean, when you're going prone or you're crouching in the tall grass, it reacts beautifully to your body, and when you move around in it, when it rains, you see the water droplets on the blades. It's really well done. When you're traveling in Seattle, which is the game takes place mostly in Seattle, and you see the dilapidated buildings, the overgrowth on the abandoned vehicles, for example. You see little creatures crawling about in the buildings, and
I'll mark it up as we go.
when you go inside these buildings, I think that's one of the more shining moments or things for me, where these places, they feel like they were actually lived in. You know what I mean? Like people were really here, and obviously they faded away for obvious reasons. But yeah, there's frames on the wall with like family pictures and notes left behind. There's I think there was one part where it was like a movie studio with their notes of the production that they're working on right on the whiteboard. And it's just things like that makes it feel very, very real, very believable.
Hey.
And that's one of the standout things, is that they paid attention to detail for sure. Character models, they look very, very good. They react and move very realistically. They have weight to them. They're not like some airy movements. You could actually feel that they respond well, and that you're actually one of the probably the biggest things that I noticed, and right away, honestly, is the facial animations. They're like top tier. I mean, for a game to be able to have characters express a certain emotion or to say something without saying anything, that's massive. You don't really see that done too well with video games, and I think they nailed it, really. Like, you could see when Dina, for example, whom you'll come to find out who she is once you play or whatever, but Dina, is this character who has it's kind of like a love interest for Ellie, and they basically, you could see her pity Ellie or angry at her, or you know what I'm saying, and you can see when Ellie's angry, things like that. It's really well done. Another thing is when Ellie when she does a stealth takedown, she'll put her knife, she'll lodge it in there in like an enemy AI or into an infected, and you could see her grimacing, right? Because she obviously used a good amount of force to get it in there, and then as she's taking them down to the floor, you can see her grimacing and pulling it out with force, and then the blood spatters everywhere, and it's really cool to see, man, honestly. And the enemy AI responds as well with, you can see it in their eyes, honestly, and they're groaning and like they're in pain, you know what I'm saying? They're dying, so it's very believable again. And I'm gonna use this term human-like a lot because I feel like for a game of this nature, that's really what they're going for, right? At the end of the day, is to make it as human-like and believable as possible. So they have to build this world and make everything human-like so that we could feel like we're actually there or relate, or like, oh my God, what if we actually made it to this point? You know what I mean? So, so yeah, the graphics are really good. I wish I was running on something more, maximized or whatever, but it still looks great. And the infected and the clickers and things like that are as scary as ever, honestly, because with the first one, I feel like the tensions were high in the first one. It was still scary, obviously, scary as shit, but they have this new system now. It's more powerful. They're capable of doing different things, and the clickers and the different enemy types, they're really scary. And there's a model viewer now, which you could unlock different characters from humans to infected, and there's a bunch of variations, and you could rotate them and see in detail how gross these things look, and it's really cool that they included that. So yeah, definitely very, very gruesome stuff. The sounds, I mean, if you look at this here, this really touched me, man. When Joel was singing to Ellie, this was like, I might dedicate this to my wife or something, or like my daughter. I don't know. I gotta use this somehow because Joel snapped, man. I almost cried, man.
Promise me that you won't laugh.
I won't laugh. I won't.
I'm trusting you. If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. Everything I have found here, I'm not found by myself. Try and sometimes you'll succeed to make this man of me. All my stolen missing parts, I've no need for any more, 'cause I believe, and I believe 'cause I can see our future days, days of you and me. There you go.
Well, that didn't suck.
I'll take what I can get.
Nah, but for real, like, The voice acting is really good. It makes you sympathize with them, and you could really feel the emotions coming through. They went off with the voice acting. So yeah, everything is pretty great. The guns sound good. The movement when you step on glass is very, like, you could tell they worked hard on these things, and it's very intricate, very realistic. So with that being said, I'm gonna go into gameplay. Yes, sir. And now onto gameplay. So the gameplay, not much has changed since, well, at least at its core, it's pretty much the same as the last, the first Last of Us. The shooting mechanic is it's about the same. A lot of people considered it to be clunky, kind of, but I think that the way that it's set up, it helps raise the tensions, because you have to be on point or else you're gonna get clapped. You know what I'm saying? So I fuck with it. What else? There's crafting's back, of course. You collect resources around the buildings and the world as you travel and explore. There's pills that you take to upgrade certain skills. There's tools like wrenches and little bolts and things like that you collect to, upgrade your weaponry. And you go to a workbench, and when you're at the workbench, you have your different guns. You go to them. If you have enough of the little bolts and wrenches and things like that, then you could upgrade your stability, your capacity, your recoil, different things like that. Also, now there's a dodge button, and sounds minor, but I feel like it's pretty dope. It adds a different level of versatility. That's a major thing with this game. It's very versatile in the way you could approach the combat, and it's fun. I could genuinely say I had fun playing the game, because you could be behind cover and set up, you could craft a trap mine somewhere, and then you have a bottle, you throw it in that direction, in that area, the enemy AI goes over there, boom, trap mine blows them up. Now the rest of the guys go running over there, they're alert, and you can pick them off, you know what I mean? You can, there's a scope that you can put on one of your guns, boom, snipe, headshot, right? Or you could sneak up on another one, stealth takedown, or hold them while aiming at the other people, right? And it's really cool. And then let's say, for example, like I said, you're holding one, boom, you shoot one, then you kill the guy that you're holding, another one's coming behind you or near you to swing at you with an axe or whatever it could be, and you could dodge it and stab them or punch the shit out of them, and it could get really gory. I mean, there's parts like, if you're near a kitchen counter or a desk or anything like that, and you dodge and you're hitting them, you could grab them and boom, you know what I'm saying, hit their heads against whatever it is that's nearby, and the different things like that, different interactions. And I think that makes it exciting, it makes it fun, right? So yeah, there's a lot of variety. I mean, you could pick up melee weapons and upgrade them so that they're more durable and stronger, things like that. The weapon variety is pretty good as well. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty fun. You have a bow and arrow, a crossbow, a bunch of different things. It's really exciting. Molotovs, I love the Molotovs, honestly, because if they coming at you, a whole group, just fuck them. You know what I'm saying? Just burn everybody. Yeah, that shit's dope, honestly, and it's effective. It's really effective. It could kill a few infected at a time. So that's really cool. What else do we have here? Ellie's very agile, so she could maneuver. That's another part of the versatility thing, and what makes it exciting is that she's so agile. She could maneuver around the layout of wherever you are in the building, and you could go from cover to jumping over that cover to going prone under something or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or in the grass, if there's grass around you. It really depends, but the fact that you have these options at your disposal is really cool, and it adds to the intensity of the moments that could happen when you're playing, right? So what else? There's a jump button. Useful. I mean, useless as fuck. Very useless, honestly. The jump button is for nothing, really. You could jump across certain platforms, maybe, but besides that, it's there's no use to it, in my opinion. I think it's whatever. So yeah, the gameplay is definitely fun. More fun than the first game. The tensions aren't as high, I feel. I don't know why. I feel like you'll find out. I feel like once you kill a few clickers and you get the hang of it, the tensions aren't as high as the first one, maybe. But it's still scary, it's still intense. And the enemy AI is way smarter, actually. They're not the smartest, but they're pretty smart. They'll call out their people and converge on you. They'll send out dogs. Actually, there's dogs in this game now, which is annoying as shit. They're actually really annoying because they could smell you. You know, they follow your scent, and you have to be on on a constant move, or else they're gonna catch up to you. And once they catch up to you, the enemy AI catches up to you, and you're done for unless you can figure some shit out. So so yeah, it's intense. They're definitely better AI. The only thing I honestly, and I hate this because it ruins the immersion, but let's say you're playing stealthy, right? And you're behind some cover and you have a comrade or companion, whatever you want to call it, because that's part of the story mission, and you have someone there with you, and they're just running around like a chicken with its head cut off, looking dumb as shit, and you're here behind cover, right? And for whatever reason, the enemy AI doesn't see your friend, but if you step out for 1 second, you're done. So it's kind of weird, but I don't know, what can we really do, right? They definitely got to figure that out for this next gen shit, because how the fuck can you have your friend running around like this and you're playing stealthy, and it just ruins the immersion of it. But it's something you could definitely get past, right? It's not like it's gonna ruin the whole game either. But that was one thing I definitely noticed. So yeah, and there's little puzzle pieces that you could figure out to, like, have to put a dumpster somewhere where you could climb here so that you could throw a rope across something else to then take that rope, you know what I'm saying? Just to get across to certain things. So there's good variety in that sense. But the game overall is pretty grim, pretty gruesome. It's dark. I would say it's not as lighthearted. Not that the last game was lighthearted, but this is definitely a darker tone to it. But it's still enjoyable, I think, gameplay wise, for sure. That being said, I'm about to go into the story. I'll touch on it lightly, and then I'll throw up a little spoiler warning for those which honestly, I don't even know if there's anyone out there who either hasn't played it or hasn't seen the spoilers, but I'm gonna still look out for my people, and I'm gonna throw out the little spoiler warning. So yeah, now on to the story. Okay, so story, and this is what made this game so polarizing, so controversial, right? So story. Where do I start? I'll give you a light overview for those who don't know about the story or the game or whatever. So pretty much, Joel and Ellie are facing consequences for the decision that was made in the last game, and yeah, there's something done wrong to them, and there's a revenge plot running through the story. She has to they have to travel through Seattle to find this militarized group who were the ones that wronged them, and they're seeking revenge, and they travel through Seattle. It takes a few days or more, and a lot of crazy shit happens. People die. Yeah, it's fucking wild. I think that's the least I could say. Honestly, I don't know. I can't really say much without going into any more detail or spoiling it. But yeah, so this is that spoiler warning I was talking about. It's about to go up. Alright, so the story, and this is why I say, for me, it made sense, and I personally I didn't mind it. I liked it, right? So this world that they have built from the first one, right? It's a gruesome world. It's vicious. People are out for themselves. They steal people's resources. They're deceitful. They form groups, and they just go out there and they survive, right? It's crazy out there. It's a wild west, the whole world. So things happen where shit is ugly. Things are gonna get ugly, right? For the most part, every interaction is not gonna be some lighthearted, sweet shit. So on that note, very early in the game, if you guys knew already or if you didn't know and you stayed for this spoiler, that's your problem. Joel gets fucking clapped by a golf club because the decision that he made in the last game when he went to the hospital and he saved Ellie, he killed those doctors. One of those doctors had a daughter, her name was Abby, and ever since that day that her father got murked, she's been hell-bent on killing the person that did it, right? So they find their encampment in, where is it? No, Wyoming, I think it is, some shit like that. It's in the cold by the mountains and all that. She finds them and she's like, all right, fuck this. I'm luring him out and I'm gonna get to him somehow, right? So she finally gets Joel and Tommy, his brother, alone in in their establishment, in their like little lodge that they were staying at, and they got them there. And she beat the shit out of Joel with the golf club, like I said. But what didn't make sense for me, because all that makes sense, right? She's angry, her dad got killed. Of course, like, yo, what else do I have to live for? This world is fucking crazy anyways. I'm gonna go after you, right? I finally found you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna make you suffer. Okay, cool. It is what it is. He killed her dad. Fuck it. So she's there. She beats the shit out of him. But Tommy and Ellie, because Ellie made it right on time to kind of see it happen, and they had her, they held her to detain her, and they detained Tommy as well. And they were there, right? They saw the whole thing, and they let them live. So how the fuck does that make sense, right? Because just how you got angry and wanted revenge on Joel, what makes you think these two individuals, one his brother, and another is like his daughter, and they sat there and saw it happen, a brutal beating, and you're gonna tell me that they're not gonna want revenge just like you did? You're just gonna let them live? Like, why would you let them go? You know what I'm saying? That was probably the dumbest shit for me. But the actual murder itself, I mean, ideally I would've, Joel, we all love Joel. He deserved a more honorable death, maybe, but the decision he made was heavy, was impactful. He did kill her father, and it's a vicious world, and it made sense. That made sense. Leaving Tommy and Ellie alive did not make sense, right? Okay, so boom, the story goes on. Ellie's like, all right, I'm gonna kill this bitch. She just killed my father. He was pretty much a father to her at that point, even though they were having their conflicts. But the rest of the story is her hell-bent on getting to Abby, her name was, and she faces off against a few different groups, honestly. The WLF, which is like a militarized group of survivors which Abby was a part of, and some of them split off from the Fireflies, if you knew from the first game. And she encounters a lot of these people. She kills a shit ton of people who were important to Abby also. She kills a lot of people important to Abby, and she just wrecks everybody, goes through Seattle on a mission, right? And the thing that not that I didn't like it, I kind of liked the fact that we played in Abby's shoes as well, because I feel like they were trying to make us sympathize with her, right? Like, see her perspective. She's human too. She has feelings. She has friends, and she's just trying to survive just like everybody else. So I liked that, and they showed part of her relationship with her father as well. He was a gentle guy, a doctor, the last doctor alive, I believe, the last surgeon alive, something like that. And I think it was pretty powerful. it was cool to see both sides and to just see how human it is. Like I said, I'm gonna use that term a lot. It's very human, like just two different perspectives who really aren't that different, you know, at the end of the day. But they have their own motives and everything, but it's pretty similar in a certain sense. So you know, we play as Ellie for majority of the game. You play as Abby for a lot too, but there's certain flashbacks, you know, it'll be a tense moment and then boom, they take you to a flashback and it kind of ruins certain moments. Not only that, the flashbacks drag. I feel like they dragged some of them, you know. It was just too much. I felt like I was playing the game for hours on top of hours and I was in the same thing, right? I just sit there like, okay, so what's happening right now, right? I didn't know how to feel about it, but it could have been done better for sure. But yeah, there was a lot of highlights though for each side's gameplay. I think one of my favorite parts though was Abby in the hospital, you know, in that little scene where she fights the Rat King. That was nuts. It was insane. I'll throw a clip of that so you guys could see. What else? So yeah, in the end, Abby makes it back to Ellie. Ellie and the gang or whatever, you know, Dina, her little love interest, and Jesse, a friend from the encampment or whatever you want to call it, they were about to go back, and Abby finds them and she kills Jesse. She threatens Ellie and she's like, "Look, leave me the fuck alone. Don't come after me again. Like we're done here. All right, I let you live. Boom, cool. Fuck it. Stop chasing me." And Ellie was shitting her pants because Abby swole as shit. I keep saying shit a lot actually, but whatever. Okay, refresh my memory. So Abby leaves. You know, Ellie and her people, they go back. Some time passes. Dina was pregnant. They have the kid, whatever. They're in the farm, which they discussed previously in the game. How that's her dream home, or you know, where she would like to retire, I guess. And you know, it's a beautiful scenery actually. I'll throw a clip of that as well. It's really nice. They're finally at peace in a sense. They're still infected out there, but they don't have someone after them. They're relatively safe where they are, and it feels very, you know, homey, and it feels nice that they're safe and they're done, right? Or at least that's what you think. And this is where I get a little pissed off too. So she has a house with Dina and the baby. She has the town where they were staying at previously. It's there. They could always go back and stay there if they wanted to as well. So you know, they're in a good spot. It's a really good spot to be in, considering the fucking world that they live in. But Ellie is having, you know, traumatic like relapses or flashes and memories and things like that. She's thinking of Joel, and I understand that. It's really hard to see that someone you love get beaten up like that. But to tell me that you're gonna go now to chase this person all the way across, I don't know how many miles, to the coast of like California or something like that, to kill them, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got past that already. She let you live. You're with your family. You're safe. Everybody's healthy for the most part. You're good. Why ruin this? You know what I'm saying? To go and for this revenge. And she's like, you know, Joel would have done it for me if it was the other way around. We don't know that. I can't say. Maybe, I think he would have probably. Whatever. So she goes off to Santa Monica, I believe it was, and she encounters this other insane group called the Rattlers. And this is where another part of what I was saying earlier, it makes sense, because the world that we knew from The Last of Us was just an isolated thing, right? The Fireflies, the WLF, the Seraphites, which I didn't mention earlier, was another crazy group, like a very cult-like group, religious. That's just an isolated thing. Like that's what these people know. That's what they've experienced. That's the vicious and crazy things that they've witnessed. But that's an isolated incident, and when she goes to Santa Monica, it's the same thing, right? And I'll get back to why that matters, why that point matters. So she finds this group. She gets word somehow of how Abby was caught by these people, and she wants to go find her and kill her, right? So she goes through all these motherfuckers, just John Wick, bruh. Johnisha Wick. I don't even know what I would call her, but she was wilding on everybody. Finally makes it to Abby and Lev, another character, one of my favorite characters actually in the story, who you'll come to find out who he is, or if you know already, leave in the comments if you agree. I think he was a really cool character. But yeah, they're like hanging on like a stake or whatever, and they're malnourished. They're on the brink of dying, and she finally reaches them. She unties them, and she asks for an escape boat, or where there's a route to escape. Abby points her to the boats. They make it to the boats, and Ellie's like, all right, fuck it, like I'm already here, let's get at it. Bam, bam, bam. They start scrapping, and it's a heated battle. I mean, Abby's pretty weak right now, because she obviously, like I said, she's malnourished. She's been out in the sun baking like a fucking fried egg on the shit, right? But I said baking like a whatever. So they're fighting, they're scrapping it out. She has the lead here, right? She's has more strength. She's really going at it, and she's about to kill her, and she has a flashback of Joel, and that kind of brings her humanity back. It makes her realize that this isn't what he would want. This isn't how it should go, right? And she spares her. She spares her and Lev. Boom, they leave on the boat. She leaves on her boat. She goes back to the farm. Dina and the baby are gone. I don't know what happens with her, if she's ever gonna forgive her for that, because I'd be fucking pissed too, I'm not gonna lie. But so yeah, she doesn't kill Abby, and I personally think that was the right choice. Everybody hated it. You know, they started off hating the game, you know, based off what happened to Joel, obviously. Then they play as this girl that killed him, so they're pissed already. And then to let her live at the end, everybody's like, all right, fuck this, who wrote this? This is trash. And I understand that sentiment. But back to what I said, if you focus on a grand scheme of the world that they built, that is the right decision. Because that ended a vicious cycle. I mean, you know, Joel kills all these people, the doctors, which was Abby's dad. Abby wants vengeance, kills Joel. Now Ellie's going, you know, it's a back and forth for no reason when everybody's just gonna keep dying and getting harmed. And that's already happening on a daily basis because everybody's, you know, they're wild out there and they're just killing for nothing. So I think she made the right choice. It was tough. It's a tough choice, definitely, because you definitely want to murder her after what happened, and everybody wanted to see that for the most part. But I think to write that and for her to make that decision is even harder to kill her. So I think that was a really very human, very cognizant decision. All right, guys, so now I'm going to talk about the replay value. I know the video overall has been kind of lengthy, but so I'm going to keep this section short. I personally don't mind that it's lengthy as long as it's been useful to you guys. So let me know in the comments if there's anything I could have done differently that maybe you could help me help you guys, you know. So yeah, the replay value for The Last of Us Part 2 is pretty high, I would say, because there's a new game plus on top of a bunch of other things that they just added recently, which I'll get into. But yeah, the new game plus, as soon as you reach open area in Seattle, you now have the guns that you had in your last playthrough. You have certain skills and crafting abilities that you didn't have before. So that changes up the dynamic of the game. On top of that, you could play it back with a good amount of options for difficulties. There's very light, moderate, hard, survivor, and the recently added grounded, which sounds nuts. I'll probably try that soon. But it removes the HUD, it removes listen mode, and a bunch of other elements that makes the game a lot more difficult, which is crazy. And there's also a custom setting which you could change around how you want the game to be. And I think that's pretty cool. Then there's of course the model viewer that I mentioned earlier, and with the model viewer you earn points as you play the game, and with these points you unlock characters to then be able to view them in the model viewer. and there's concept art as well that you use those points for. So you're definitely not going to get enough points in one playthrough to see all the concept art and all the character models. So that gives you incentive to play more, right? So that's one of the cool parts for me, because I like that model viewer. It's very detailed, and it lets you see how, at least for the clickers, how gross and just cool it looks, right? There's also collectibles. If you're collectibles free, you're good with this game, because there's these cards that Ellie runs across throughout the game. It's important to her in the dynamic of the story, and there's a bunch of those to collect throughout the environment. And then Abby, she collects these coins, which are important to her in her story, and I promise you're not gonna find them all right away. So when you go back, you can play it on very light maybe, and you're just going for the collectibles. It's up to you, but that's definitely another option right there. Overall, it's a good game to try to get back into. Maybe you want to digest the story again, or maybe you just want to put on some hard ass mode difficulty and just run through that and challenge yourself, right? Maybe you want to get to the Rat King on Grounded. That sounds insane to me. I don't know if I'm gonna do that, but it's something that people could look forward to, right? And I just noticed now, actually, with this same update that I mentioned, that they added render modes, right? So now you can change the style of the game, how it looks, which is really cool. I'm looking at it now, and they have a graphic style, a headache style, it's called, Afterlife, where they look like zombies, kind of. There's watercolor, 8-bit, dungeon, void, pop, poster. There's a lot of different options here, and it's really cool, actually. So I haven't gone through my second playthrough yet, but all this that they added, I'm definitely gonna run it back, no doubt. So yeah, overall the game for me was like, I'd say that at an 8.5 out of 10. There's things that, you could watch the video, but the story could have been done better in certain ways. It dragged, things like that. But overall, it was a really solid game, really good game. I hope to see more from this studio, Naughty Dog, and to see, just to hopefully see another Last of Us. That'd be pretty badass. But yeah, I'm gonna cap it off right there, guys, and just like, share, subscribe, do all that. I gotta say it because the YouTubers say it, and I gotta get clout. I gotta move up. It's my first video. It's a little rough, but thank you guys for showing love. Peace out.